But that is basically how you auto fish and auto sell your fish at the same time, allowing you to fish infinitely and hopefully catch yourself tons of rare fish, huge pets, as well as maybe even the Titanic pets. Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another fish video. I mean, Pet Sim 99. Yeah, basically today we got a new Pet Sim 99 update and it's almost a carbon copy of the fish game. However, I think the execution was pretty good. So as you can see, within a couple hours of the update releasing, I already made it to level 31, as well as I've already gotten the last rod that you can actually buy from the merchants, and I have made it to the final island. So in this video, I want to go over everything they added, as well as all the tips and tricks that have helped me progress this fast through the update. And I also found a way to auto fish and auto sell your fish at the same time so that you can AFK fish overnight, as well as even possibly a few huges and Titanic. Now, before I get into all of that, if you enjoy this video or find it useful, don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget that once I reach 40,000 subscribers, which we are very close to reaching, I will be doing a massive 100 plus rainbow huge pet giveaway on Pet Sim 99. However, I do give away at least 10 rainbow huge pets every single video. And if you want a chance to win one of these huge pets, all of the giveaway information will be in the description. But with that being said, let's get into the video. Okay, so today the fish update came out for Pet Sim 99, and obviously I'm going to go over all the tips and tricks that I've learned to help me progress through this as fast as possible, as well as how you can auto fish and auto sell the fish at the same time. But first I want to go over the general update information, as well as what I think is the best overall strategy to progress in this event. So obviously there is a new fishing event world, and to actually get through the world you have to come through this little door over here. Okay, so once you make it through the portal and arrive in the event world, you are going to be on the first island. Now, there are 5 total islands, and obviously the goal of this update is to progress through all 5 islands. However, in order to do this, you need to fish and get coins, as well as level yourself up, which you'll see your level on the bottom of the screen. Now, to level up, you will also need to catch fish, which give you XP. On each island, there is a rod merchant, as well as a boat merchant, as well as a fish merchant. Obviously, for each island, the fish merchant is the exact same thing. You just go into it and you sell any fish that you catch. However, on each island, the rod merchant will sell different rods, with all of them having a level requirement, as well as each different island sells different boats, with all of them having a level requirement. Now, every boat has a luck boost, and obviously the better the boat, the better the luck boost, as well as all the rods have some different stats when it comes to fishing luck, hook speed, and reel speed. And obviously the better the rod, the better the stat. Now, there are a ton of rods, some on every single island inside the merchant, with the last rods you can buy actually from a merchant being the one that I have right here. The emerald fishing rod has some pretty decent stats. However, there are 2 more rods that you can get. Your level requirement for these are level 40 and 50 respectively, and you can only get these from the deep sea treasure chest, which you can get from randomly fishing. And as you can see inside the loot pool, you'll see the 2 rods right here. This is Future Loot Muffin here. There is actually 3 rods in that chest. I actually got lucky enough to get the easiest one, which is the sapphire rod, which is, I guess, pretty easy to get considering I got it from literally only opening 1 chest, but it's a pretty decent rod. And yeah, so getting the chest and opening it for the last 3 rods is going to be pretty important. And this one obviously has a level requirement of level 40, so I'm going to be grinding out levels to actually be able to use it, but it has some pretty decent stats compared to the previous rod. Now, besides that, while fishing, you can also get a ton of different items and boosts, etc., including these 3 scrolls, one that increases your XP, one that increases your fishing speed, and one that increases your luck. These are all really OP, and you should be using these when you get them. Honestly, I think you do get quite a bit when you're fishing. However, there is also one more item called the Bucket of Chum, which greatly significantly increases your luck for your next cast, which is really OP, but it's pretty tough to get. And as you can see, you can get it from the forever pack. So unfortunately, pay-to-win players do have a slight edge over pay-to-win players when it comes to getting these items, because they are not tradable. It does make it a little easier for pay-to-win players to get these because you can't actually trade for them, as well as pay-to-win players can also get the Kraken fishing rod from the forever pack. Although I think it is going to be pretty easy to get considering there's already 3,000 in rotation. This is a very expensive rod right now, and for the stats that it has, I think it does provide a pretty big boost over free-to-play players when it comes to winning things like the leaderboard, which I'll talk about in a few seconds here. Now, every island has some different kind of fish, which as you catch them give you different XP. Obviously, the better island you're at, the more XP you're going to earn, as well as the more cash the fish will give. Every island also has its own egg with its own pets. Now, these pets are pretty important because they do increase your luck. I'm going to talk about luck in a little bit here because that is the most important stat to focus on. Over at every island, make sure you're opening this egg. And on the very last island, there is a huge pet, as well as you can hatch active huge pets in that egg. But unfortunately, coins are really tough to get. So like, I don't even think you'll remotely be able to auto hatch that egg, but just make sure you're opening that egg whenever you can to get those pets for the extra luck. Now, I did talk about some of the pay to win stuff. However, besides the forever pack, there really isn't much of a boost that pay to win players have over free to play players. As you can see, there is a Kraken raft. You can spend 400 Robux for this, or you can get it from the weekly pack rewards, and it gives a 10% luck boost. However, the last boat at Rune Lagoon does have a 10% luck boost as well. So the only thing that the Kraken boat has over that one is the extra 50 fish storage, since the other one only has 250 fish storage, which is not going to be important at all, because later on I'm going to show you how you can AFK auto fish and auto sell. So fish storage is not an issue. So technically this Kraken boat is just as good as the last free to play boat that you can get in the game. So that doesn't really give pay to win players an advantage. And besides that, as well as a MVP perk that gives you 25% more coins, which does not help when you're actually fishing and trying to hatch high weight pet. Pay to win players don't have a incredibly high advantage in this update, which I do like. I think they're starting to revert to a little more free to play friendly updates because they realize their player count is dropping. So that is pretty nice. Now, like I said, there is a leaderboard over here. Now this leaderboard resets every hour, with the top 5,000 players getting a reward, with the lowest reward being a free huge pet, with the top reward being a Titanic pet. So that's pretty cool. And this is honestly a pretty cool leaderboard because all it is really luck. Pay to win players don't have a huge advantage over the luck aspect except for the rod, which is only a slight boost. So that is pretty cool. Meaning I think a lot of free to play players are going to get their first huge pet just from grinding this leaderboard and trying to get lucky. Now, the best spot to actually get a high weight pet in this game is going to be from the new event, the Kraken Whirlpool. This appears in your server randomly and you'll get a notification on your screen. And when you're fishing in this whirlpool, you can actually get some really rare pets. And obviously the rarer the pet, the higher the weight can be. So for example, you'll see people in chat hatching a Kaiju Sea Dragon as well as some Atlantean Orcas. These are going to be pets from the Kraken Whirlpool. So if you're really trying to get on leaderboard and hatch high weight pets, go for the Kraken Whirlpools. Keep rejoining servers, searching around the water until you find some of those whirlpools and fish in there, and you should be able to get yourself on the leaderboard at least once during this event. Now, honestly, they added a lot of stuff in this event, so I knew the general info about this update would be a while. But the last thing I just want to quickly talk about is all of the new Titanics and Huges. There's a bunch of new Titanics and Huges. Obviously, you can get a Titanic Kraken from the Kraken Whirlpool event, but also while you're just fishing randomly, there is a chance to get a Titanic Seahorse as well as a huge anglerfish. Now, you can already see I actually have one in my inventory, and that is because I caught one very early on in the game. And if you're catching something rare, you'll see an exclamation mark appear above your character, so you'll know that you'll have something rare, and that's what happened when I caught this, as well as a ton of other rare fish. So that is pretty cool that while you're AFK fishing, you can also get yourself a chance at just straight up catching some huge pets, as well as catching these deep sea treasure chests, all allowing fishing to be incredibly profitable to actually AFK. That means I'll finally be making a diamond making method this week, just because of how OP this event really seems to be at a first glance. All right, so getting into the tips and tricks portion of this video, I first want to talk about the general strategy of progressing through this event that helped me make it to the final island and reach level 35 in just 2 or 3 hours of playing. Now, first off, when you're playing at level 10, you unlock autofish. Autofish is pretty useful if you're actually going to be AFKing, but you do actually reel in fishes around 50% slower than if you were to manually fish. So I would definitely recommend manually fishing all the way as much as you can. As you can see, this goes really slow when I'm using autofish. However, if I take autofish off, the bar goes up much faster. So yeah, as you're progressing by manually fishing, you're going to speed up the process a lot, as well as when you make it to a new island, the only thing I would be doing is buying the last rod. Once you get the last rod in that merchant, move to the next island. The level requirement is really just a suggestion. And because, like I said earlier, each island that you move to has different fish that give more and more XP. Once you have the best rod from the previous island, you'll be able to catch the fish in the next island more than fast enough to level yourself up really fast and reach that recommended level. So basically what I did, started on the starting island, bought the last rod, went to the next island, bought the last rod, went to the next island and bought the last rod, and then made it to the final island, bought that final rod. During that whole process, I did not buy any boats. You can buy boats because as you're fishing on them, they do provide a luck boost. However, the luck boost is so insignificant for the lower tier boats. I would only recommend waiting until you can buy the final boat on Rune Lagoon, which will give you that 10% boost. So yeah, that is just, in my opinion, the best general strategy to help you progress through the islands. Do not wait until you reach the recommended level. That's going to take way too long. Just wait until you get the best rod on that island and then move on to the next one, because the recommended level requirement is honestly not even that big of a thing. Now, most of my videos I talk about enchants, boosts, etc. However, I want to get this section over with quickly, and basically all the enchants in the game are not going to be useful during this event. Literally none of them are going to be useful except for maybe any enchant that is going to help you hatch the egg on the island are going to be useful. So like literally only lucky eggs, maybe rainbow eggs, and super shiny hunter are going to be the only ones that are going to be useful, and they're only going to be useful for the like 5 seconds that you'll be hatching the eggs on the islands. Other than that, no other enchants are going to be useful during this event, as well as none of the base boosts except for obviously the lucky eggs fuse potion and the cocktail will be useful, and that is just simply for the luck while you're hatching. So you really do not have to focus on any enchants, which is really nice for free-to-play players because you don't have to use any expensive enchants at all. And then especially for boost, you don't have to use really any boost. Just once again, if you do have any luck boosts or luck enchants when you're hatching, try to have those on. And then when it comes to literally all the other buffs on screen here, none of them are useful. So that is pretty nice, honestly, in my opinion. This is very free-to-play friendly. Now, like I said, you can get 3 scrolls while you're fishing, and these do provide XP boost, speed boost, and luck boost respectively, which are very useful. They are not incredibly hard to get, and make sure you're using them. They only last for 2 minutes, so you burn through them pretty fast, but these are going to be the only boosts that are going to be incredibly useful during this event. And honestly, I would recommend stacking up the speed scrolls and the luck scrolls until you find a Kraken event, and then use them all then. But the XP scrolls are going to be really useful up until you reach like level 30, which at that point it's not really going to become that important unless you get one of these special rods from the treasure chest. So yeah, there really aren't many boost enchants or anything that really help you during this event other than the new event items that were added, which is honestly pretty nice in my opinion. Now, with that being said, the biggest thing you want to focus on during this event to help you catch the rarest pets and possibly catch a Titanic as well as some huge pets is going to be fishing luck. Now, on the bottom left, you have a fishing luck stat, and this is affected by a plethora of different things. Most importantly, you have a fishing streak. This is basically how many fish you catch in a row without failing, and it increases it actually by quite a bit. So at a streak of a couple hundred fish, you'll easily get like 30 to 40%, which is really, really good. And I would definitely focus on trying to get your streak up as much as possible and focus on not failing as you're going along through each island and progressing through the game, because that extra luck boost is definitely going to be noticeable as you're fishing, as well as all these stat pets on the islands do give a luck boost. Obviously, the best pet being this Kraken here, but it's going to be really tough to get because you can barely hatch these eggs. It's really hard to hatch these eggs, but make sure you're hatching the eggs on each island as you're going so that you can further increase your luck boost. Now, obviously, having the stat pets in your inventory is really important, but using a full team of exclusive and huge pets is going to allow the luck to increase even more from those stat pets. But at the very least, make sure you're using a team of stat pets from this event world to help increase that luck. And then obviously there is that luck scroll. I currently have 53% luck. If I put it on, I have about 80%. So I think it adds about 30% luck, which is pretty good, and it's very useful to have. So if you can, definitely use those, as well as obviously the better the fishing rod you have, the more fishing luck you get. So hopefully you can get the emerald fishing rod pretty soon, but if you really can get your hands on a Kraken rod or one of the more pay to win rods that you can get from the deep sea treasure chest, that would be ideal and would be the best to increase your luck. And then besides that, there is the item called the bucket of chum. This is only a one-time use, but I think it basically doubles your luck, which is pretty insane. So if you get some of these, definitely make sure you're using these as well. Out of the 1,000 fish or so that I've caught, I've only gotten around 2 drops of these, which was like 3 each, which is not too bad, but they are pretty rare compared to the scrolls. So I'd probably wait to use these on the Kraken Whirlpools, but they are pretty useful. But generally, you just want to keep an eye on your fishing luck stats and make sure you're doing as much as you can to increase your luck during this event to help yourself catch the rarer and higher weight pets to get yourself on the leaderboard, as well as just help yourself hopefully catch the huge anglerfish or the 2 different Titanics that you can get from fishing. Obviously, one of them is from the Kraken Whirlpool event. Now, before I talk about how you can AFK fish and AFK sell at the same time, I do want to quickly check my mailbox. If you want to donate to me using the mailbox, my username is loopedmuffin_RBX. I tend to shout out anything over 5 million diamonds in wrap or in exclusive pets, and I really appreciate everything you guys send me. However, most of it does go back into giveaways for you guys, so make sure you're only sending things that you can actually afford to send. Thank you, Mr. Krabs, for the huge fluffy cat. Thank you, Ola, for the huge mining monkey. Thank you, Travuk, for the emoji cat. Thank you, Cinnamon Bear, for the huge mining monkey. Thank you, Shadow Fluff Paws, for the huge fluffy cat and the huge marshmallow kitsune. Thank you. Thank you, JL, for the patchwork yeti. Thank you, a big bummy, for the huge player fox. Thank you, Zach Painter, for the huge basket bunny and the other huge basket bunny. Thank you. Thank you, Nike Nate Boy, for the hype eggs. Thank you, Snowflake, for the super seal. Thank you, Morris, for the snowflake gifts. I do not add people, sorry. Thank you, NY8, for the huge sticky lamb. Thank you, 187th Legion, for the MVP key 2 upper halves. Thank you, Petsim99 Lamar, for the graffiti gifts, as well as the huge jolly dino. Thank you, Motox, for the huge sticky lamb. Thank you, Ninja Legend Beast, for the huge mining penguin. Thank you, Etherpar, for the 1000 slime gifts. Thank you. Thank you, Jonas, for the huge lucky elephant. Thank you, Marku, for the huge spring griffin. Thank you very much, J Dude, for the 3 huge anime scorpion cards. Thank you. That is really generous. As well as the huge minecart hamster and the huge mining monkey. Thank you. That is incredibly generous of you. Thank you, Cinnamon Bear, for the huge chocolate bunny. And now it is time to go into our diamond gifts. Thank you, Real Yo Eclipse, for the 5 million diamonds. Thank you, Dom, way too good for you, for the 16 million diamonds. Thank you. Thank you, Busby, for the 5 million diamonds. And thank you to everyone else who sent me gifts. I really do appreciate everything you guys sent me, but once again, please do not feel obligated to gift me anything. but I really do appreciate it. But with that being said, let's get into the method on how you can auto fish and auto sell your coins at the same time. Now let's get into the auto fish and auto sell method. So obviously there is an auto fish button. You can access this once you reach level 10. And honestly, to help progress and level yourself, I would not recommend using it because once again, it is very slow. But once you're ready to AFK overnight and actually leave the game running, then using auto fish is going to be useful. However, as you can see, you only are able to store a certain amount of fish, which is based on your boat, with the last boat size allowing you to only store 250. I am able to store 300 because I have the Kraken raft, but that might worry you a little bit because after the 250 fish, you'll assume that you'll probably have to sell your fish somehow, and there is no obvious way to sell your fish while you're AFKing. However, I did a little bit of testing and found a way to actually do that. So basically with the fishing merchant, what you want to do first is make sure you have at least one pet locked. It will not work unless you have a pet locked. To do that, go into your inventory, go to items, and then go to your fish and just literally toggle locking and select a pet to lock. Once you have at least one pet locked, all you want to do is open up the sell fish menu and then go straight back to your boat. You can't spawn it in, so make sure it's already spawned in and then hop in the driver's seat. It is a little tough, but then once you're in it, click the auto fish button and you'll notice that it will start auto fishing for you, which is very, very nice. Now, once you're here, in order to actually sell the fish while you're AFKing, we're going to use an auto clicker to click on the sell all button. So as you can see, once it catches a fish, I now have 3 fish in my inventory, but if you click sell all, you do have to make sure you have some pets locked because it does not update unless there are pets already in here, because it doesn't update when you catch the fish, but it does update when you sell the fish as long as there's fish here. Once you click the sell all button, you'll notice it quickly glitches and then it sells that fish. I just caught another one, so that's why it says 3 again, but if I click sell again, you see it sells that fish as well. Now, literally all you have to do is stand in the middle of the water on your boat with this menu open and then use an auto clicker, which is linked in the description. Even mobile players can use an auto clicker. I use GC auto clicker when I'm on my phone and it works perfectly fine. Basically, all you want to do is auto click on the sell all button in the top right corner of the button, because sometimes when you click sell all, it says no cost and it'll just click out of that menu. So literally all you want to do, put your auto clicker here, start the auto clicker, and then just go AFK like this. Now, to make it glitch a little less, you can increase the delay between clicks, but that's literally all you have to do. It'll auto fish for you and keep selling the fish as you are fishing, meaning you can literally AFK overnight and auto fish as much fish as you want. Now, if you're using multiple accounts, you will have to use a program called Tiny Task. This will also be linked in the description, and I would just record yourself clicking on the sell all button on every account over and over again, and that is pretty simple, and that'll also do the same trick for multiple accounts. But that is basically how you auto fish and auto sell your fish at the same time, allowing you to fish infinitely and hopefully catch yourself tons of rare fish, huge pets, as well as maybe even the Titanic pets. Now, this works great too if you just want to farm the Kraken Whirlpools. All you have to do is come back every half an hour or so, find a new Whirlpool, and then AFK again, and it is amazing for farming those high weight pets and hopefully getting yourself on the leaderboard. Now, with all that being said, I'm going to be farming this event quite a bit on all of my alt accounts. At the very least, I'll be using my 6 alt accounts. My main account might be on BGSI, and with the new update coming out tomorrow for BGSI, you should expect some videos on that. But I think this event is finally a little more enjoyable to play and should be pretty profitable. So I'm going to be working on finding a pretty good profit method and diamond method for this event. And once I do, I'll be uploading a video on that as well. So stay tuned for that. But in my opinion, my overall thoughts on this update, it's really good in execution. However, it is still incredibly unoriginal. If big games put as much effort into originality as they do for the execution, I think they could actually start making some pretty good updates and gaining more of their players back. But by heavily using a front page game as inspiration for almost all of their events, it really does take away the originality from this game. If someone really wanted to play a fishing game, they would probably just go straight to fish instead of playing a Pet Sim 99 version of that game. However, as a Pet Sim 99 player, I still do find this enjoyable, but I really do hope they start working on a little more original ideas. But with that all being said, those are all the tips and tricks that I have for this update, as well as the best overall strategy to progress in this update and how you can auto fish and auto sell at the same time. So with all that being said, if you enjoyed this video or find it useful, don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget that once we reach 40,000 subscribers, which we are very close to reaching, I will be hosting a massive 100+ Rainbow Huge Pet giveaway on Pet Sim 99. So stay tuned for that. But with that being said, I hope you all have an amazing day and good luck fishing. Congratulations to this user for being the first person to comment on my last Pet Sim 99 video with the Roblox username. Okay, unfortunately I cannot find you, so moving on to the next person, it is going to be this person who commented the Roblox username. So congratulations, you have won yourself a Rainbow Huge Pet. It's time to reveal the winners of the giveaway for my last Pet Sim 99 video. Since this video did not reach any of the like goals, I will only be giving away 10 Rainbow Huge Pets. As always, usernames of the winners will be shown on screen at the end of this time lapse. Congratulations to all of the winners.